Today we're going to look at Spotlight Hot Rod, written by Simon Furman with art by Nick Roche. Yep, that Nick Roche. So it's always a treat. And somewhat not surprising even for Hot Rod's characterization in the modern comics, he's riding a meteorite down to a moon. And also not unlike Hot Rod in the modern comics, it doesn't exactly go the way he thinks it does. And on his way down, he loses control and knocks himself unconscious. Where we get a flashback story that starts on the steeps of Kayaleta. I have no idea. But the story goes on, and so shall I. They end up at their mission objective, which is the Omega Bunker, which looks like a large tomb. His team starts to put in place some protective measures, and Hot Rod tells us that this tomb holds the Magnificence, which is a bit on the nose, but it's basically an artifact guarded by Omega Guardians, and their options to get it as a result of these Guardians are extremely limited. It should also be noted that his team comprises of Gizmo, Backbeat, Download, and Dealer, who I guess thought naming himself Double Dealer might put people onto his intentions. As a fun fact, we hear about the Magnificence much later on in Lost Light as well. I like those little Jeff John moments, as I call them. Those callbacks to stuff set in previous issues, sometimes from years and years and years ago. But Hot Rod comes back too, and we let go of the flashback, and he informs us that he's made his way to Styx, as in... But it's actually a Decepticon prison colony, and much like his flashback, it also is extremely difficult to infiltrate. The base has numerous security systems, and he scrambles those first. He does each system in a series, passing through each system as he does it, which hides him and confuses the warden, who we find out is Gut Cruncher, during his infiltration, to his ultimate destination, which is Cell Block Z Lateral, to which he says his intentions are some small measure of redemption, which is implied from the flashback story, which we dive back into, where Gizmo activates his hollow matter generator, basically creating holograms of the Autobots to distract the Omega Guardians. Meanwhile, Hot Rod and Download sneak into the tunnel that was created earlier by these boring droids, not boring like this, but boring like this, to reach the Omega Bunker. But they reach their destination, find the Magnificence, again, bit on the nose, and Download begins deactivating this energy shield. But we also learn that the projector that was creating the holograms has been destroyed, and the Guardians are on their way to them. Hot Rod orders a retreat, but it's a bit too late, and Gizmo goes the way of the dodo. Download takes the shield out, but then he, as well, has, how should we say, departed. Snapping back to our story in real time, Hot Rod has let loose a virus within the system that has deactivated all of the cell blocks. A riot ensues, and he uses another projector to disguise himself as a Decepticon to once again infiltrate to find Dealer, the last surviving member of his crew, from the temple. And how did that happen? We find out in another flashback. As Hot Rod is escaping with the Magnificence in hand, Dealer reports to him saying he's been pinned down by Decepticons in an ambush and is calling for help. Hot Rod has to choose between the mission and his team, and ultimately chooses the mission, leading him to his present-day guilt, where he disguises Dealer using the same sort of projector, and the two escape from the prison block. They make their way through a few obstacles and get on a ship and hightail it out of there. Once they've reached safety, Hot Rod makes his apologies, and Dealer seems to accept them quite easily. But as soon as we see Dealer left alone, in a not so shocking reveal, we learn that he's actually a double dealer, maybe also a bit on the nose, and contacts Bonzaitron. We learn that he was actually responsible for the mission going wrong before at the temple, and that when he said he was being ambushed, it was all a ploy to lure Hot Rod back to capture him as well, or presumably worse. That way the Decepticons could get the Magnificence, on the nose, and Hot Rod could be theoretically eliminated. And in the ultimate obvious moment, Bonzaitron tells him, "I can see I must watch you very carefully. Perhaps from now on I should call you Double Dealer. Am I right?" Okay, he doesn't say the "am I right" part. But I like this story. It's a bit more sophisticated than a lot of the other Furman stuff that he was doing at the time, at least in my opinion. I like how the two stories kind of parallel one another. I did find that a lot of the tricks, the holo generators and the boring drones and all of that sort of stuff, once again, not boring like this, but boring like this, had a little bit of a Harry Potter feel to it, where the lead protagonist always finds an obstacle and then always has this magic thing that makes them overcome the obstacle. That sort of storytelling does annoy me, but overall I did enjoy this one a lot, and it does deal a bit more with the psychology of the character rather than the fast cars and explosion type of storytelling. But I like this one a lot. Once again, I recommend that you pick these up in the IDW collections. panels. This one's in volume 1. They're hardcover and make a great display. I'm glad to see that people are still enjoying this series. I've had a little bit more time to do them since the action figures haven't been released regularly, at least the ones that I'm buying. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time.